Hi everyone, welcome to my corner of the internet where dreams get messy, life gets weird, and creativity runs wild. I'm Helene Forts, an artist, a writer, and a professional at turning pain into masterpiece. This first topic is, I'm sure, something that everybody can relate to, if not everybody, most people, which is what are failed relationships trying to teach us? And it is ironic that this is the first topic, the first video I'm doing on YouTube, because the plan was actually to create this YouTube page with my partner, my ex-partner. We really wanted to delve into life experiences and the traumas that we've been through and the failed relationships that we've been through. It is so hard while you're in the thick of it and you are, in your emotions, and everything feels so heavy and you can't really understand what is going on or what is your next step. You can't see clearly. You feel like you're in a tunnel. The list goes on and on. Oftentimes we fail to really see what that experience is trying to teach us. I mean, I've done this for most of my life. I would say in my 20s when I started dating, I really was just winging it. I was winging relationships because I never had a relationship, a healthy relationship to look at and say that is what a healthy relationship's supposed to look like. I mean, I grew up in a single parent home. My father left when I was 3 years old. There was just never that opportunity for me to experience a relationship and have that be my beacon. When it came to be that I started dating and I started getting into relationships, I've always been a hopeful romantic, not hopeless. And I've just jumped into relationships, really believing that it's gonna work out. I never go into a relationship thinking that it's not going to work out. But I failed to read red flags. I failed to see the relationship for exactly what it was. And as a Pisces, I tend to stay, I'm sure a lot of Pisces can relate. I tend to stay in a relationship when it's overdue. I tend to give and give opportunity after opportunity until I have no more left in me. And then I walk out. And at this point, I have seen the reality of what is and not just living in this illusion that something is when it's not. So let me bring you back a little bit. My first set of relationships were simple relationships. I mean, there was no real chaos. There was no real tension, and there was no abuse. There was, and from those relationships, I really learned nothing. I made mistakes. I cheated. I just was not open to voicing my needs. I mean, a big list of things as to why I shouldn't really have been in those relationships in the first place. However, looking back now, I can see that those were just meant to teach me. Those were leading me to a point where I would wake up. I did not value those relationships. Honestly, there were just relationships I would get into, and then it would sizzle out, and then I would get out. So then came a time where I got into some abusive relationships, verbally abusive, at times physically abusive, and The first question I asked myself as I left those relationships were, why is this happening to me? Because I always felt like I'm a kind person, I'm loving, I'm caring, I want the best for the person I'm with. Why am I going through abusive relationships? And this same line of questioning continued until I had a breaking point, pretty much. I was in a relationship that was not healthy at all, and it became abusive. I lost myself in that relationship. I lost my voice. I stopped speaking my opinion. I stopped standing my ground. And that is all because, it happens over time. It's not something that you can really point out. And usually at this point, you're already invested in it, the catfishes of relationships. The thing is, we always want to present ourselves as what we want to be in the future and not certainly who we really are, and so when you are getting into relationships with people who have not healed from their past traumas, from their childhood traumas, from their parent wounds, from, it goes on and on. You can really lose yourself in that relationship. And so I got out of this relationship, and, I was really in a bad shape mentally. It wasn't so much because I was so in love with that person that I felt like I was losing. No, I felt like I started asking myself, like, why? What is the point of my purpose on this earth? Is it just to feel pain? Is it just to go through these horrible experiences? Again, wrong line of questions. And I just started feeling like the walls were caving in on me. Just the tightness, the anxiety, the, negative self-talk. And in that moment, something beautiful happened, actually. I decided I was going to try meditation because I was like, at this point, anything will help. So I did like a 10-minute meditation, and it completely changed my life. From that moment on, it was like a veil was taken off, because I realized that I was asking the wrong questions. I was giving my power away. Once again, it's all about what this person did to me and all of that. And it's a choice. You choose to be in these relationships. You can choose to walk away at any point. You could choose to read the red flags and walk away. You could choose to stay. And I chose to stay. When I realized that, I was like, wait, wait a minute. We got a lot of work to do. Yes, we do. And it tied right in with my self-worth, the belief in myself, and the lack of just self-love, abandoning self, and this is still a lesson I'm learning. So once I started asking those questions, it became clear to me that it was not so much about them as much as it was about me. What it is that I need to work on, what it is that allows me, that keeps me going into and walking into these situations that I know or I feel instinctively are not good for me, but I go anyway, right? Of course, if you ask the right questions, you're going to get the right answers. And for me, it was all about my childhood. I mean, doesn't it all go back to the childhood? Yeah, I got to this point where I started realizing I am picking relationships based on my belief system. See, I believed as a child that I only deserved, I'm gonna get emotional. And I get emotional because I get emotional because I I love my child self so much, and for the longest time I ignored her. And so as a child I believed I believed that I did not deserve the best for myself. It was based on many things. My father not being in the picture. It was based on being not having a family that had financial freedom, and seeing the example of someone who does have that, who has material things. And as a child you can't really differentiate. You can't you you're not at a place mentally where you can make adult conclusions. You're still a child, so you jump into conclusions, and you create this story in your head, and you start telling it for yourself, and the people around you tell you the story. And simple as like my hair wasn't pretty, or my hair was bad hair, and it was just so many things. I'm not going to touch on all of them, but that belief system started very early on for me. And so it carried on as an adult. Once I had that realization, it was like, wow. And that is only really the beginning, because you can know something and you can see something for what it is, but you really have to implement it in your life for there to be any change. I heard this saying not long ago: what you are not changing, you are choosing. So even after realizing that, it took me some time to really process it and start to put it into practice. And it just so happened that I did not give myself, after this failed abusive relationship, I did not give myself enough time to be with myself, to explore these new questions, these new answers I was getting. I just and that was another thing too that I hadn't realized. I would just get out of something, and then soon after that, within a month, I'm already getting into something else, when I haven't even done the work for myself yet. I haven't even given the time to love on myself, to really recognize what is happening and why did I subject myself to this experience and to this situation. So I got into another relationship. Although this relationship was not toxic, I feel like because I had just gotten out of a toxic relationship, abusive, I was very keen on only, I was tunnel vision on, not accepting abuse. And that's really all I focused on. I'm not going to be in a relationship that someone is, verbally abusing me anymore. It's just not going to be. And so I made a promise to myself, as soon as I saw that, I would walk away. So in this relationship, it was a lighthearted relationship. It was very fun. Um, we laughed a lot. And that relationship went on for 3 years. And at some point, I really did start believing that well, this is it. This might be it. This might be the relationship I'm looking for, because I I believed she was a great human being, is going through her own journey, and she's also learning, and those little things that you pick up, and you're like, oh, nice, yeah, this person is okay, I guess. It's safe, at least for me to open myself up. But then I realized that I failed, because I was so tunnel vision on not having another abusive relationship, that I failed to recognize all the other red flags. And I laugh now, but trust me, I was not laughing when I realized them. And it started as me not feeling like, and this is when I was practicing speaking, and speaking my needs, and not just holding in. I had this idea that if I want something, or if I need something, this person is just supposed to know magically, read my mind, that this is what I need, this is what I want. And then, I came to the realization, obviously, that that's not true. You do have to speak up for yourself. Nobody else will. So I was starting to implement this in this relationship, and then I felt like I was open enough, though I wasn't completely open. I feel like in hindsight, I definitely could have voiced how I was feeling more often. I kind of waited in specific, when is the right time. And it ties into like feeling like you are going to be a burden, you are going to start a conflict. But conflict is important, conflict resolution, and it's important to go through conflict. And that was something that I always also avoided, was conflict. But I was learning, and telling myself, listen, if you want something done, you are going to have to voice it. You are going to have to step up to the plate, and just let go of this idea that conflict is bad, and release these limiting beliefs, these old beliefs, and so as I'm learning, as I'm experiencing myself, I just so happened to be in this relationship, and I was slowly implementing the things that I had learned, or that I was learning. So I went ahead and, I voiced my needs, and voiced what was not feeling right for me. It was not feeling good. It felt like, that something had to change. There were changes that needed to be made. Just because you voice your needs doesn't mean the other person is going to follow through. And now you have a decision to make. Do you continue on in this relationship with someone that's not really showing you that they're willing to put in the effort? Or do you leave? Or do you go to therapy? Well, I did none of these things. I actually I went to God as my therapist. And what better therapist could you have, honestly? So I had what I call a one-on-one with God. And I said, God, as if it wasn't enough already. I said, God, please show me the signs. If this is not the person I'm supposed to be with, someone is making tea, sorry. If this is not the person I'm supposed to be with, then show me the signs. And then God went on to show me all of the signs that I had ignored from the beginning. And it still took me some time because things happened in the relationship. It was someone that I was slowly falling out of love with, but still had a lot of love for. And I really cared for the person. And her mom ended up passing away. As I'm leading up to have that final conversation, like, hey, this is not working out. We've had these conversations and I've seen no change. And as I'm building up to that, her mom passed away. Boy, did it feel like the rug was ripped up from under me. Because not only did I really love her mom, I knew how close of a relationship she had with her mom. So I stayed. Even though God gave me many of reasons as to why, signs as to why I shouldn't stay, I decided that this one reason, or I saw this one reason as something that I should stay, and I mean, I didn't have it in my heart to abandon her in that moment, to walk out in that moment. I just felt like that's not something I can do. I just felt like I'll give it more time. And I did, and I stayed for, I don't really remember the time, but it was about 8 months or something like that. But remember, I had already come to a decision that I was going to walk out, and this was not the right relationship for me. And so it was really hard to still be there and offer a safe space for her to mourn her mom, and also for me to do that myself, while still knowing that I have this thing in the back of my head that I didn't get to express. I mean, it's okay. Listen, I cherish who I am. I cherish all phases of myself, the parts of yourself that you don't really want to look at. I really cherish those because they teach me a lot about myself, and I can master myself if I am willing to follow this path of self-discovery. To make a long story short, she started to feel that there was a change, there was a shift. It was really hard for me to fake the funk. So she came to me one day and she asked me, what's going on? I feel like you've been distant, and are you still in love with me? And I could not lie at that point because I feel like I had been holding that in for so long that when she asked me, I did not have it in me to lie to her, to tell her some otherwise. Yeah, something has changed. It has changed for a while now. I'm not gonna give you the whole spiel on the breakup. It was a conversation. Hey, this is not working out for me. It hasn't been working out for me for a while now. I've voiced what it is that needed changing, and it's not happening. And at some point you really have to realize that if you want someone to change, that right there does not sound right. Like, I mean, I understand that in order for a relationship to last, you are gonna go through challenges, and you are gonna go through moments where your person is not at 100%. But I could not see a future with this person any longer. So I told her, and we went our separate ways. Now, I decided then on that I was going to give myself the time to heal, not only from this failed relationship, but to really dig deep into all of the past traumas, the childhood traumas, while working on myself, while loving myself, while providing for myself, while cherishing myself. And it was beautiful. It was peaceful. It was honestly one of the most peaceful moments in my life. And I was single, and that was like, that was a surprise. That was something different for me, because I hadn't been single in a long time, and I had little moments of being single and then relationships, so I really was like, okay, this time around, I'm not just gonna go ahead and jump into something else. I'm gonna give myself time to go through it, to feel what I have to feel, to face what I have to face. And I was meditating. I was just, it was really good. I mean, I was still having fun going out and doing things, here and there. I'm a homebody, but I do like to go out and enjoy myself from time to time. It was just a really good time. Like it was needed. So when I started feeling like, okay, I can start opening up and, maybe dating again and swimming in the waters. And let me tell you, for a gay person, it is extra hard. I mean, it's not a complaint, it's just a fact. It's just not enough, especially for women. Guys, there's so many gay bars for guys to go to. But for women, there's not really these places where women can go to and meet each other. There's just less, let's just say, very, very scarce. And so you end up having to go to the worst of them all, dating apps. Now, talking about dating apps, honestly, I don't even want to think about it right now, because I'm not even in a place where, like, I need me time. I need that again. I need to go back to self. And it's finally getting to a place where it's, yeah, okay. I didn't so much lose myself as, as again, gave too much in the last one. So I started dating, and I met someone, and I fell in love. I mean, one thing led to another. The first date and second date, and then we both fell in love with each other. And I had every intention to make this relationship work. I hate to say it, but, well, I don't hate to say it. It's just the fact of the matter. But I fell in love with the potential that I saw. Not just, but it was, there was more than just potential. Like, I saw this person's heart, and I knew that they were kind and loving, and I had written a list of what I would want my person, like the character traits that I wanted my next person to embody, And I slowly started taking things off. Maybe there were a couple of things here and there, but I was like, oh, sometimes some things are just unrealistic. And so I let those things go. But very early on, there were a couple of red flags, defensiveness, and childhood wounds that I started to pick up on, that you don't really know. I mean, the person can tell you I have childhood wounds, or their trauma. There's stuff that I went through as a child. A lot of people go through stuff as a child, and the thing is, have you delved into what those wounds are and how those are affecting your day-to-day life, like how you move, how you answer to situations, how you react to situations. It all ties in to whether you have healed or did at least some healing, enough healing to be in a relationship. And sometimes we can get into, you get into the mind that you want a relationship, and I've done this too. You want a relationship, and but you are not necessarily ready to be in a healthy relationship. And I noticed that this person needed help, needed healing, not help. She did not need help, but I offered up help because, well, I have these steps and these things that I have learned that I can help this person go through or see for themselves. Listen, you're not your partner's therapist. It has to come from the person. The healing is a choice. The forgiving is a choice that has to come from them. You can show them the possibilities, like if you do the work, you'll be able to let yourself free and let others off the hook too. Let yourself off the hook, and it feels so amazing. It feels so joyful. You get to this point of clarity, of just peace, that that you at least have gained enough tools to move on forward through life and make better choices for yourself. However, if the person is not willing to do that, you can't do it for them. Healing from past trauma is a slow process. Healing itself is a slow process, and you have to be willing to step into that. It's a decision you make that I am going to heal myself, no matter what. This is the journey I'm on right now. And healing is not easy. It's not. It is messy work. If you're expecting for me to say that there's an easy way out, there's not. You really have to go through it. You really have to feel the feelings that you stuffed down, that feels uncomfortable every time you think about something. You really have to allow those emotions to surface so that you can work through it. There's plenty enough videos on YouTube on childhood wounds and how to heal, and this is more so me sharing my experience in hopes that maybe you will relate and we can grow together. Again, being the Pisces that I am, I got into this relationship and I loved hard, and I was in love, and I really felt like this was the relation. I was going to get married with this person. I really, really believed that, and but in the day-to-day life, there were just things that I noticed. When someone is going through their own stuff, their own life, they can get so, and this is, again, if you're in a place where you're going through so much in your life where you don't even have time to prioritize a relationship, to have a relationship, then it's just best that you don't, for the sake of you're gonna cause yourself pain in the future. It started becoming heavy for me. It started like, okay, I help and I help and I help and I heal as much I can possibly do, and I offer up support, patience, and a safe space for all of this to happen. But there were things and there were wounds that were not mine to carry, were not mine to heal, were not mine to delve into. Like I said, healing has to come from the person. So those wounds surfaced, and they can surface in the you know, in explosive ways. It can surface in avoidant traits, and and there's only so much one person can do to keep a relationship together. It has to be two people working, putting the effort in. In the process, I realized that I was doing too much. I was over gifting, over pleasing, over, in the meantime, putting my needs to the side and being like, okay, you do it once, you do it twice, and then you do it a third time, and then the person starts to expect that. This is who you become. That person, you become the person that's always, putting your needs to the side for this person. And so when that happens, the expectation is going to grow. So anytime that I chose to do what I needed, I chose to voice what I needed, well, now all of a sudden I'm selfish. It's really a two-way dance, because I'm putting so much in, because I'm at the same time neglecting myself and putting my needs to the side. My needs are not as important. This person is going through it, they need it, and it's a snowball effect. And I started mentally checking with myself, and it just wasn't. I was feeling exhausted all the time, and I was like, I knew the reason why I was feeling exhausted. However, I was trying to implement the tools. Okay, well, I'm feeling exhausted now. I need to give myself some time, and I need to bring my energy back. But anytime you bring your energy back from someone who's so used to you giving, you're going to be called selfish. Another lesson. If selfish is what we're going to call it, then so be it. Be selfish, because you have to put yourself first. I have to love myself, pour into myself first before I'm able to pour into someone else, because you pour, and your cup ends up, if it's not being poured back, your cup ends up empty. And I came to a point where I realized I'm not being prioritized. I'm being made to feel as an option. I'm being made to feel like I have to chase for attention, and all of those things came to a peak where I felt like, are we doing this again? Are we abandoning self, sacrificing self for another person who is just not even at a place where they can give you what you want, where they can prioritize you? And it was just not given. And I sometimes I laugh, and because I see the irony in it, and I see the lesson, and I see how I failed to set boundaries. And trust me, if you take anything from everything I told you, self-abandonment and not setting boundaries is one of the most painful lessons that you're gonna learn from a relationship, from a failed relationship. And boy, is it very clear to me now. Big, bold letters. Do not fail to set strong boundaries for yourself. And when you set boundaries, remember, it's not just saying don't do something, it's saying there's going to be consequences to these actions. You know, there's going to be consequences to breaking my boundary, and you have to be strong enough to follow through with the consequences. As much pain it causes you, as much pain you feel, how hurt, I mean, listen, it took me a minute. I'm still in the process of healing. You know, I'm still going through it. I'm still allowing myself to feel the hurt and releasing it. But I see, excuse me, clearly now how important boundaries are. For me, my thing is always, I just want a healthy relationship. I just, want to be in a relationship with the other person is also looking into self, and ego comes a lot into play too, where if you're maneuvering in a relationship from a place of ego, you're going to shoot yourself and the other person in the foot. You have to be able to look past your ego, look past the I'm being attacked right now. You have to be able to let go of those moments where things are triggering, things are coming up, and you're like, you're so worked up in the moment that you fail to see where this is really coming from. Once you realize those things, once you start learning these lessons, it's just of utmost importance to forgive yourself. The woulda, shoulda, couldas really does not matter. Is the lesson that matters. The things, the tools that you're picking up slowly but surely, that is going to inevitably lead you down the path that you desire. I'm gonna leave it there. I will continue to come back and talk about these things. For me, this page is going to be about my life experiences and shining a light on the things that I've learned, the experiences I've gone through, and the icky stuff that I had to break free from, the all of it. So if you're into watching someone build their dream life while occasionally tripping over their own feet, then you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button and let's make some magic or some mess together.